Your primetime news with Israel Lai.
The Chocolate Day edition of your primetime news bulletin coming up. Water supply situation to improve significantly after Saturday as Ghana Water Company begins test run on restored filters. Even as doctors resume work after a brief strike, government pharmacists are also threatening to lay down their tools. Businessman Alfred Woyome affirms his confidence in the judiciary and resolves to see through his trial to the very end as appeals court lifts freeze on his accounts. Ochehene demands retraction of comments by Eastern Region NDC suggesting he is being politically manipulated. In business, mobile phone companies lose out on revenue from text messaging as more subscribers switch to WhatsApp, the new app on the block. But is the situation that bad for the telcos? All these plus sports, showbiz and international news coming up in the next hour. Do stay tuned. In our very first story, the Ghana Urban Water Company Limited has started test runs on one of the 4 filter beds that developed structural cracks, resulting in a disruption in water supply to residents of Accra West and Tema. The test run, which started this week, should ensure a restoration of supply by Saturday morning. The repaired filter bed is expected to add an additional 3.5 million gallons of water to the 40 million gallons currently being supplied.
The Ghana Urban Water Company Limited, GUWCL, has been rationing water for a week now due to the breakdown of 4 of its filters at the Wager treatment plant. Stanley Martis says residents should expect a considerable increase in water pressure and availability when the repaired filter bed becomes fully operational this weekend.
This additional water should ease the situation entirely, or should ease the situation significantly. Now, we are saying this because after running the altered rationing program, one complete cycle, which is in a week, our monitoring checks indicates a normal situation within the metropolis. So if we are going to have additional 3.5 million gallons of water, the expectation is that it should improve on pressures a bit and more people should have access to water.
He adds 3 other filter beds that are currently offline will soon be restored to further improve supply and mitigate the current challenges.
The laws of our country expect us to go through a certain procurement process. We have said that we want a redesign and a reconstruction of the filters. Now, when that is done, there will be a selection. There's a committee that has been set up to evaluate all the proposals and do a selection of the best bid. Now, when that is done, we'll sit with these contractors and then we'll talk about timelines.
He, however, cautioned residents to still save water and use water wisely, since the provision of the additional 3.5 million gallons did not mean the problem had been completely resolved.
Now, members of the Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association have threatened to embark on a nationwide strike this Friday, February 22, if the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission fails to take a decision on the payment of their market premium. A statement released today and signed by its national chairman, Stephen Kokwe, said anything short of it, whatever the excuse, could be met by a nationwide withdrawal of service by pharmacists. He said GOSPA was shocked by the alarming amount of money being paid to a large cadre of its members nationwide following their migration onto the single spine salary structure this year. According to Mr. Kokwe, apart from entry point practitioners, all other pharmacists are drawing salaries far less than they did under the previous health service salary structure too, stating that some pharmacists earn as low as less than 100 Ghana cedis a month as salary. A situation, he says, has rendered GOSPA members terribly worse off. He also says SNIT's contributions have also been reduced remarkably, thus making the workers totally worse off in real terms, both in active service and during pension. He accused the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, the Controller and Accountant General's Department and the other relevant authorities of intentionally frustrating members of GOSPA. This will not be the first time GOSPA is threatening to strike this year. In other news, farmers in the Upper West region say they have over 3,000 Ghana cedis worth of maize locked up on their farms. According to them, government promised them the National Food Buffer Stock Company would readily purchase their produce, prompting them to acquire loans from the banks. While with the farming season over in the region, the promise made to them by government is yet to be fulfilled, leaving them frustrated. Fusaini Abdul Razak, who is one of such farmers whose base of bags of maize was still locked on his farms, was speaking earlier to Joy News. But agents of NAFCO also say their warehouse are full to the brim and cannot take any more grain, leaving both agents and farmers. Osman Sule is an agent and director of 18 April Company Limited.
This year we have supplied some maize to the Buffer Stock Company, but at the moment we have, like you can see from behind me, a lot of maize, but I think they have some constraints, and then we are holding the maize. A lot of farmers are bringing their maize now. We cannot pick because our warehouse is full. We are even creating a space outside to be able to store. You can see from here, it's there. So much of it, and we have this one that you are seeing is about 10,000 bags. 10,000. That's about 500 metric tons currently that we are just holding at the store.
Joining us on the line now for an update on the situation is the Chief Executive of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, Eric Osei-Owusu. Good evening to you, Mr. Osei-Owusu.
Good evening.
All right, so are you aware of the complaints by these farmers?
Sorry, I can't hear what you're saying.
I'm asking if you're aware of the complaints by the farmers in the Upper West region that they have all this maize locked up on their farms.
Farmers?
Yes.
Well, I'm aware that, this year has been a very good harvest. There's a lot of maize that farmers are holding. As a result, we have also bought a lot of maize from the farmers. And that is the situation.
Has it gotten to the point, Mr. Osei-Owusu, that probably you can't buy anymore?
We can buy some more. What we are doing is that we regulate what comes in and what goes out. Because as I think on this very platform I've explained before, that we have a challenge as far as storage facilities are concerned. And so before we buy maize, we must be sure that we have adequate storage facilities to be able to store. And so I, have issued directives that we should try as much as possible, to inform the farmers to hold on while we make arrangements to increase our storage facilities. And also be able to shift some of the maize that we have in storage out. And so that is the situation.
Mr. Osei-Owusu, this directive that the farmers should hold on, I think it's coming rather too late because they've already, harvested their crops. How do they hold on?
The fact of the matter is that it's not every maize that, we can buy. The normal markets are there. We are the last resort buyers, and we always encourage farmers to sell their produce. Now, I think this year in particular, because our farm gate price is quite attractive, farmers are turning to us, which we don't have a problem because we do a lot of extensive work in setting up the minimum guarantee price. And so we know that if farmers want to sell to us, it means that they are doing that because it's a large resource market. However, we encourage them to try and look for markets, and we'll do our best to try and mop up as much as we can. And that is exactly what we are doing. And so, yes, the situation out there is that our LBCs should be able to buy some maize from the farmers, so that as soon as there is room for us to take more maize, they can then sell it to us. The requirements for us appointing LBCs is for them, they themselves, to have warehouses. And so every LBC should be able to store some amount of maize in readiness, to offload to us when we require it. And that is the situation.
All right. Thank you very much. You had Eric Oseusu. He's the Chief Executive of the National Food Buffer Stock Company. In other news, the Court of Appeal has, by unanimous decision, ordered that accounts belonging to businessman Alfred Woyome be released to him, describing the continued freeze by the Economic and Organized Crime Office (EOCO) as illegal. It, however, ruled that an account at the Agriculture Development Bank said to have been used to wire the 51 million Ghana cedis judgment debt remain frozen until such a time that the final case is concluded. The accounts were frozen by the EOCO following allegations he defrauded the state by false pretense in a controversial 51 million Ghana cedis judgment debt scandal that rocked the country early 2011. He was hauled to court, but hearing has suffered numerous adjournments after the prosecution failed to produce witnesses. Addressing journalists later at his residence, Mr. Woyome reaffirmed his confidence in the judiciary, insisting, despite the delay, the court is always the best place to get judgment.
The freezing order of the recipient account, which by a court order, the government of Ghana paid the judgment debt into. It was by a court order, have been frozen using proper legal procedure. As to whether it is justified or not, it is left for the ranging issues in the court. To be decided upon. Then we can see the implication of such an action. What the court ruled, that is, this was confirmed by the Court of Appeal. The other aspect of that ranging order, that included assets and financial assets and other accounts and every other thing that happened. Those orders were declared illegal and null and void. And those orders actually should be of an interest to the business community of Ghana. The use of state organs to stifle business. I have been on record of saying that the frozen account of businesses, in fact, this very order that was carried out, albeit it today victoriously have been reversed, has affected hundreds of people who are workers in my company, hundreds, and their families. There is a provision in the EOCO order that you could even go and seek for money to pay. EOCO, every time with correspondence and everything, refused, even against the face of the law. Thus, by almost crippling all the companies and everything one has worked for, and the life of about hundreds of people. So today is a day where those workers who have remained under very hard circumstances in the company, today is a day of their celebration and joy. I have stated over and over again that the only hope left for Ghana is the judiciary and the courts, our court system. And I have always stated that the court system and its appellate system, the court and its appellate system, are the best guarantee for our survival and our democracy. As I've continued to state it, today is another vindication. And it is also a good thing for other companies from externally and everything, that no matter whatever the political class may do in this country, their money and their investment is not at risk because our courts are open and they are fair and just. But sometimes it takes a long time for cases to be decided. And that is what I believe that after all this matter, I'll be interested in, so that cases are speedily dealt with to avoid injury to a lot of people and also more financial loss to the state.
Ochehene Osagyefo for repaying has taken strong exception to the NDC's accusation that he is doing the MPP's bidding, claiming that his questions directed at the president about whether he will accept the Supreme Court ruling was hypocritical. His lawyer, Kwame Champon-Boateng, is therefore asking the NDC to retract or apologize to the Ochehene, or he will advise himself.
The accusation comes after Ochehene Osagyefo Amoetia-Ofori-Penny asked the president if he would accept the outcome of the case at the Supreme Court during a visit to him at the Flagstaff House.
There is a case at the Supreme Court. We, all of us, have to be committed that whatever the justices arrive at, all parties, all citizens in our country will accept the decision in good faith. Because the country we grew up in, Mr. President, had different threads and different backgrounds woven into a big solid quilt called Ghana. And I know that the president will lead in that fight.
This question, though answered by the president in the affirmative, has raised a lot of eyebrows in the media, with the NDC's Deputy Eastern Regional Secretary accusing the Ochehene of doing the MPP's bidding.
We took exception to certain sections of the statement that the Ochehene made during his visit to the presidency at the Flagstaff House. We looked at the language in which the statement was couched and then its connotations. When you study the circumstances and the context carefully, one can see that it has its own political lining.
Lawyer for the Ochehene, Kwame Champon-Boateng, is however asking the NDC to retract their statement and apologize to the Ochehene, adding that the accusation is unfounded.
And these were clearly, if any chief or if any person, whoever that person is, gets to the presidency to talk about matters concerning Ghana in this present time and refuses or decides not to mention the court case, which has generally paralyzed the country, then that person may be acting hypocritically. So the fact of the matter is that these are matters of currency, and definitely the Ochehene, together with the other chiefs, thought it was crucial that we bring it up for all of us to discuss, and in a very cordial atmosphere and with a very excellent response from the president. He asked that both sides be guided and accept the outcome. I don't see where political motivation comes in here at all, under whatever circumstances.
Deputy Eastern Regional Secretary of the NDC, Matthew Doe, a signatory to the statement that is alleging that the Ochehene is doing the MPP's bidding, will not have it. He insists there's nothing to apologize for.
Now, still to come in the bulletin, acting IGP on first public duty assures the police will be proactive in dealing with crime, and National Security Coordinator confirms arrest of 2 officers of Geological Service in connection with Turkey gold seizure scandal. Now, National Security has confirmed the arrest of 2 senior officials of the Ghana Geological Service by the Bureau of National Investigations in connection with the $80 million Turkey gold seizure scandal. The said officials, the Deputy Director of the GSG, Dr. Thomas Edu, and Justice Adum, senior technical officers of the department, were arrested yesterday and are assisting in investigations. Government, following reports of the detention of an aircraft in Istanbul, Turkey, allegedly carrying 1.5 tons of gold originating from Ghana and destined for Iran, launched investigations into the case. It had earlier been suggested the cargo was part of a covert financial transaction between Ghana and Iran, an allegation the government has vehemently denied. An interim report released last Friday on the investigations pointed to 2 Ghanaians operating under the corporate name Omanye Gold Mining Limited as the main corporate. Head of National Security, Colonel Larry Bevlolate, who confirmed the development on Joy FM's Super Morning Show today, said investigations are still ongoing. Inspector General of Police Mohammed Ahmed Al-Hassan today traveled on some streets of the capital noted for notorious traffic offences. The exercise, which was his first public duty as Inspector General of Police, was aimed at monitoring how police officials manage the situation on the ground. Speaking to Joy News exclusively after the event, Mohammed Ahmed Al-Hassan reiterated the police service will be proactive in dealing with crime in the country.
Certainly, as we go along, we would tackle most of the challenges, which I think are appropriate.
The Minister of State designate in charge of financial and allied institutions, Fifi Kwete, has backed calls for government to remove its subsidy on fuel. He made the observation when he appeared before the Appointments Committee of Parliament today to be vetted. Other ministers of state designate Abdul Rashid Pilpo, Alhaji Muna Mohammed Muniru and Comfort Doye Kujo Gansa all appeared before the committee, with Mr. Gansa's vetting lasting less than 10 minutes.
The first to be vetted was Abdul Rashid Pelpo, Minister of State designate in charge of public-private partnerships. He told the commission when given the nod, he will champion the passage of a law which will regulate the public-private partnership. This, he hopes, will boost confidence in the partnership.
We need to have a law, a legal regime, which will define how the private sector will operate and how the public sector will operate, how the two interrelate to provide public goods so they can generate confidence. It can generate confidence in the private sector. One of the very first things I'm going to do is to ensure that we have the policy transform into an act of parliament, so that that act of parliament will then be used as a guiding principle.
With concerns of duplication in roles, Rashid Pelpo explained to the committee what his role at the presidency entails.
The PPP is a very important and key component of our development strategy in this present regime. Now, what I'm coming to do is to set up a secretariat that is going to do the first three of it, do the feasibility of it, find out the value for money aspect of it, analyze it, ensure that it is what we need in Ghana, pass it through the transparency process, give it some respect and integrity. Then, if we think that it's good, then we pass it to the Ministry of Finance, which will then give it an okay.
Fifi Kwete, Minister of State designate in charge of financial and allied institutions, called for a civil society-led debate on the issue of fuel subsidy, arguing that a subsidy does not help the average Ghanaian.
I've had the opportunity of engaging our friends on the other side, and I mean the New Patriotic Party. And I think across the political divide, there is an understanding that the issue of fuel subsidy has to be tackled and has to be tackled head on. On both sides, we all do know that we must have the courage to once and for all deal with this subsidy. Because you see, the subsidy thing is almost become an ostrich. It's almost as if we are pretending the problem is not there, but the problem is there. We are pretending somehow by continuing to allow subsidies, we are making the lives of the people better. But we actually are not. We are inflicting far more damage on the people. We need to have the boldness to create a system that fuel subsidies can be gradually removed.
President John Mahama has sent the strongest warning yet to his team of ministers that he will not condone corruption. He served the notice when he swore in 17 ministers who have been vetted and confirmed by Parliament. He also reminded the ministers of the high expectations Ghanaians have of his government and challenged them to ensure they do not disappoint.
The president told them he is ever ready to provide them all the support they will need to enable them excel.
All this transparency and accountability is the most important. People have a suspicion of office holders in terms of transparency and accountability, and we're enjoined by the Constitution to be held accountable for what happens in our ministries. I told the earlier batch that I swore in to think out of the box and take responsibility for the ministries that you're being sent to. It won't do to pass the buck or the blame to your technocrats. You are charged with responsibility for the ministry. And so the people of Ghana and myself will hold you responsible for the ministry, and we expect that you in turn will hold your subordinate officers, the technocrats, responsible for delivering on the mandate that you have been given.
Majority Leader and Minister in charge of Government Business, Dr. Benjamin Kumbo, thanked the President on behalf of his colleagues, saying they will do their best to ensure the President's vision and aspirations are achieved.
I would like to assure His Excellency that we'll do our best and that will not fail him. Secondly, as His Excellency said, beyond the constitutional requirement of transparency and accountability, I have been around long enough to know that the stakes are now very high, and rightly so. And the expectations of the public certainly would be heightened, and I foresee that these stakes will continue to become higher as our democracy matures.
Chieftaincy and Traditional Affairs Minister Dr. Henry Seydou Dana, Youth and Sports Minister Elvis Efriye Ankra, and Communications Minister Dr. Edward Omaneboama shared with Joy News their immediate plans for their respective ministries.
Peace and harmony is what we need to have speedy economic development in Ghana. And certainly working to get settled chieftaincy disputes, to sensitize community, and then to bring good dialogue, promote dialogue between government and chiefs. These are methods by which one can arrive at a peaceable coexistence in Ghana. And I believe that will further the President's vision of speedy economic development. There are some allies that has to go to Parliament, about 14, and they are in draft form. My first assignment will try to get them processed and put it before Parliament, so that before the close of this year, we'll add them to the list of areas that are codified.
The improvement in the quality of service in the mobile telephony industry is very dear to the hearts of many Ghanaians, and we work assiduously with the telecoms to ensure that we are able to improve on quality of service. Call setup rate and the call congestion rate. If you're able to work on this and try as much as possible to get the telecoms to agree to invest much more in technology, we will be able to achieve the improvement in the quality of service that we require.
We have some 3 World Cup qualifying matches, and so I'll be engaging with the various stakeholders, including the FA, to see how we can prepare our team so that we can qualify for the World Cup. Part of the things I'll be doing immediately will be to look at those stadia. There are some reports available, and see how we can expedite action in putting them to good shape so that they are safe for the public. We're going to work with the National Youth Authority, strengthen them, ensure that they have resources. But I think that there are various non-governmental organizations and social groups and international agencies that also deal with youth issues. And the trick will be to get all these entities working together.
Also at the Flagstaff House to meet the President were members of the Standing Committee of the Symposium of Episcopal Conferences of Africa and Madagascar. The group congratulated the President on his election and inauguration and Ghanaians for a peaceful election. President Mahama thanked the Catholic Church for their support to the country over the years. He, however, expressed surprise at the announcement by Pope Benedict XVI to resign, describing it as a brave move. He assured the Catholic Church of the country's preparedness to work with whoever is elected as the next pope, adding Ghana is close to opening a diplomatic mission at the Vatican.
A new group, Unite Conservative Institute, has been formed by some leading youth members of the New Patriotic Party. It aims to help strengthen the party structures and promote greater accountability in the governance structure. Its director, Arnold Boateng, told journalists at the launch in Accra, it hopes to instill a process of continuous self-critique within the NPP to enhance decision-making.
The group preaches renewal of thought and ideas within the NPP, the promotion of accountability, diversity and the accommodation of thoughts and ideas. But who are the people behind this group and how credible are they? The group's director, Arnold Boateng, explains.
It is a network of active members of the New Patriotic Party and sympathizers who seek to promote a platform for ideas within the party. The ultimate aim here is to encourage ideas for renewal of the party and encourage diversity of thoughts in order to make the party the only true choice for Ghanaians.
According to him, membership will cut across all regional and district capitals.
Yes, we've started with initial leadership and research assistance, and we also have regional representations. I'm sure, as he hinted, that in the next few weeks, you hear more from us across the regions, and your regional correspondents will be filing reports. We are in here to stay, and we are in here for the big time.
A leading member, Bafo Akutu, called on party faithful and sympathizers to be involved in the overall running of the party to ensure members' concerns are duly addressed.
Every time, every day. That's what we seek to achieve.
Still to come in the bulletin, we have business. Now, away from the days of telegrams through to telephones and text messaging, there are now many mobile applications offering free communication platforms to consumers. WhatsApp is one such platform which has really caught on with many people, most of them describing it as an addiction. In the following report, Gifty Andopia finds out how the application is impacting on the bottom line of mobile phone companies, seeing that the once popular text messaging platform ain't so cool anymore.
Averagely, it costs between 4 and 12 pesos to send both local and foreign text messages. Plus, sending a photo or video via the traditional MMS, which is available on just a few handsets anyway, could take forever. In a world of instant everything, that's just not cool. With WhatsApp, however, all you need to do is download and install the application on your phone, and you can communicate real-time with people all over the world, sending pictures, audio, video, just name it. On the WhatsApp website, they make it clear who the competition is. A brief introduction reads, WhatsApp Messenger is a cross-platform mobile messaging app which allows you to exchange messages without having to pay for SMS. It adds, because WhatsApp Messenger uses the same internet data plan that you use for email and web browsing, there is no cost to message and stay in touch with your friends. Little wonder the once popular SMS or text messaging has had to give way to WhatsApp.
And using regular SMS could not let you do as much as you can do with WhatsApp, because with WhatsApp, once you have your internet access, there are so many things that can be shared within, like seconds. And even though it has that cost of internet, but it's not the same as relying on a whole network just to send one SMS.
I once sent a message and it couldn't deliver on time. Yeah, it was pending for a while before it got delivered. I simply prefer WhatsApp. It is instant.
A decline in the use of the text messaging platform will obviously mean less revenue for the mobile phone companies. So how are the telcos taking this dip in fortunes, and is that really the situation? Kwame Jan speaks for Airtel.
We do make money from SMS that are sent revenue, but at the same time we also do make some money as well from WhatsApp being sent. What it is that we don't have any research to ascertain the fact that WhatsApp is affecting us negatively or otherwise. But we do know that WhatsApp is data-based, so the more that people use it, the more we also make money as well. So revenue goes, revenue-wise, is good for us as well.
But for your information, though WhatsApp may sound quite cheap from the consumer's point of view, the telcos see things very differently.
Assuming you have an Airtel 1 month bundle on your phone or on your modem, and right away you download heavy files, you could run out of that 1 month bundle in hours. Most WhatsApp users that I know, for example, they just don't send text messages. They send pictures, they send sound bites, they do voice notes, they send short voice video clips, music videos, and all that kind of thing. And then these give us a good opportunity to increase our revenue via data, because the more of those ones that you send, the more revenue you also make from that.
Although statistics on the number of people using WhatsApp in Ghana is not readily available, Wikipedia says the application handles 10 billion messages per day as of August last year. Now that sounds like a win-win situation for the telcos, because even though text messaging may be phasing out, the rise in data usage is making the telcos even richer. For Joy News, Gifty and Doapia.
Now, the Ghana Telecom's chamber has appealed to local authorities and communities to facilitate the erection of towers to enhance the delivery of telecommunications services. In a press statement issued on Wednesday, 13 February, the chief executive of the Telecom's chamber, Mr. Kuku Sechado, said that in 2012, telecom infrastructure companies were unable to build as many new tower sites because they were not granted the relevant permits. According to him, the quality of telecommunication services will suffer unless infrastructure grew to correspond with subscriber growth. He said mobile network operators and other telecom infrastructure companies were ready to invest to enhance service delivery, but they required the support and cooperation of communities and local authorities to enable them build the needed infrastructure. The mobile network operators and telecom infrastructure companies continue to face serious challenges in the deployment of new telecommunication tower sites to fill the existing gaps in their coverage areas. That's it by way of business.